Hello, my name is Camila Perez and this is my video application. To someone who is questioning the relevance of the United Nations, I would start by clarifying that the UN was never meant to be a perfect form of world government. I would start by saying that its true purpose is to be a universal forum for dialogue and cooperation and collective action. Especially problems that one single nation cannot solve. So I would cite one of the first Secretary Generals of the UN who said that the UN was not created to take us to heaven, but to save us from hell. The UN actively deploys peacekeepers around the world. It still provides a diplomatic space where adversaries can talk instead of fight. It sets international law. It gave birth to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and a lot of other treaties that establish the moral and legal standards for the international community. Also, some agencies like UNICEF, WHO, or the World Food Program, the UN is delivering aid in crisis and it does promote development in the long term through the sustainable development goals. So therefore, the UN is not irrelevant and it is just a reflection of the world as it is, which is not perfect, it is divided, but it is still capable of cooperation when humanity is at stake. For the second question, when asked which is preferable, an ineffective democracy or an effective dictatorship, I think my answer is unequivocal. It's definitely an ineffective democracy. A democracy, even when it is inefficient, it is still built on some principles such as liberty and accountability and a peaceful possibility for change. While a dictatorship, no matter how efficient it is, it achieves its stability through repression and fear. So the effectiveness of it depends entirely on the will of one single leader and not the consent of the people that are being governed. So while a democracy can reform and improve through participation, a dictatorship must often collapse before it changes. So as I see it, there is no price at which humanity can be sold. So basically, order without freedom is not exactly peace, and progress without dignity is just not progress at all. Finally, about the reform question, Article 2, Paragraph 4, it states that members must refrain from the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. I don't think this principle should be reformed per se. I think that its wording is clear and it is firm and it does base basically the international order. But the real problem is not in the text, but in the way that it is being enforced, since powerful states are often violating this article, and whether it is through the invasion of Ukraine or the 2003 war in Iraq, it is often shielded by the veto power of the permanent members of the Security Council. So I think that in order to strengthen this article, we need an institutional reform. I think that the veto power should be limited or suspended even in cases of mass atrocities. And I think that the Security Council should be expanded to include emerging powers and regions that are still unrepresented today. And that would be the way to give the Charter some principles of moral legitimacy. So from my perspective, the United Nations is still one of humanity's most vital platforms for cooperation. And even though it can be flawed, it still preserves human dignity and freedom till a certain extent. So, peace without justice, order without humanity, those are all illusions. And I think that human dignity must never be the price of efficiency.